Hari Om. We start with a prayer. Om Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Bande Jagadgurum Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakhat Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mamadeva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. Hari Om. We are doing Panchadashi, first chapter, and yesterday we did Sloka's second session. Apparently the mic was not connected, so we have to repeat the second session. That those who have looked at the live stream, there is no sound there, so we are going to redo that second talk. The first talk we stopped at Sloka 39, where we are using the Anvaya Vyatireka logic to differentiate one against the other. So when they are two together all the time and they are interdependent, and we need to know which is the original, which is that which is pervades the other, which is the more real compared to the one which is cause and which is the effect, because both are existing simultaneously, and that is that the Anvaya Vyatireka is being used. And in order to do that, we mentioned that we take a case where both are there together. So this is those are two related ones, and we go to a situation where one is there and the other is not there, and that's called Vyatireka. The first is Anvaya. So we need a situation where one alone is there without the other one. The one alone is there is independent, the other one depends, because without that this cannot be. So it's always this, the effect has to always have the cause, but cause can exist without the effect. All that has to be understood in this Anvaya Vyatireka logic. That's the Viveka is required, and Panchakosha Vivekena Parabrahma Labhyate. That's what this statement was in the Sloka 32, where one can gain the Supreme by discriminating these two things, because I had to separate these two, and they are not physically separable, and they are only cognitively I had to separate it, and that's essentially what the one has to do. And we will do Sloka 40, where now we are trying to see how we can eliminate the subtle body. That's what is being discussed here. When I go to the deep sleep state, I am there, but the subtle body is there, but not gross body. So in the waking state, I am there, gross body is there, but when I go to dream state, I am there, but the gross body is not there. So gross body I can leave and I can be still there, so I am not the gross body. And that's how the whole Bhagavad Gita starts with that, because the Arjuna is confused that they taking the gross body as the Pitamahas and the Gurudeva and all that. So he's worried about the disappearance of the gross bodies, because Natvevaham Jatunasam Natvam Nemi Janadipaha Nachaiva Nabhavishyamaha Sarveva Yamatah Param. So Krishna starts this with the teaching itself. There is a never a time I was not there, never a time you are not there, never a time all these kings are not there, because they are not the bodies. Body comes and goes, but you are more permanent and you are independent of the body. Body depends on you, but you don't depend on that. This is essentially Panchakosha Viveka, where I am rejecting the Annamaya Kosha and say I am independent of the Panchakosha. Even though for transactional purposes, I need the body. I cannot attend a class without the body. So otherwise I can sleep at home and let my subtle body go there and attend the class. That doesn't happen. I had to physically go from one place to other place. That means the body is required for all transactions. That's why the Lord created the body, so that I can bhogayatanam, for experiencing all the physical world of plurality. I need the body. So as long as the body is there, I cannot but experience the world outside. That is also, the converse is real. So the logically I can separate by using Anvaya Vyatireka that I am not the Annamaya Kosha. Similarly, when I go to deep sleep state, I am not conscious of my subtle body, and therefore I can reject the whole subtle body, and that includes, in the next sloka, as we say 40, all the Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya Koshas, along with those are three koshas. We have rejected the Annamaya kosha. Now, by rejection, go to deep sleep state where there is a Vyatireka. I am there, but no subtle body. In the waking, in the dream state, I am there, subtle body is there. When I go to deep sleep state, I am there, subtle body is not there. Therefore, I am not the subtle body. Because I can exist without the subtle body. Therefore, I am independent of the subtle body. So that let's chant this sloka 40. Tadvivekad viviktasyuhu, Tadvivekad viviktasyuhu, Kosha pranamanodhiyaha, Kosha pranamanodhiyaha, Tehi tatra gunavastha, Veda matrat prutakrutaha, Veda matrat prutakrutaha. So tadvivekat, so by discrimination of that is by the subtle body, antakaranam. So I am rejecting the pranamaya, because the subtle body includes pranamaya, manomaya and vijnanamaya. So therefore koshaha pranamanodhiyaha. So these three koshas are being rejected, as I am not that. Tehi tatra gunavastha bedamatrat prutakrutaha. Because there is only difference of these things. They are all subtle body, but what is the difference between the mind and the intellect and the pranas? It's already been discussed before. The difference is only due to the proportion of these sattva, rajas, tamo gunas. In the prana, it's mostly rajoguna because action is required. In the manomaya, in the prana, there is the five panchendriya, five karmendriyas, and also the prana, pana, vyana, udana, samana, pancha pranas, all are part of the rajogunam, and that's essentially what is rejected. And manomaya is it is based on the sattva guna, whereas the panchapranas and all rajoguna, and in the manomaya they based on the sattva guna, but it is of the nature of doubting. So vimarshatmakam or samsayatmakam manaha. So there is always doubt, means it is indecisive. It's also emotional center. Mind is also a locus for all the emotions and all that, and that's where the attachments and all that do come into picture. And the intellectual sheath, where the intellectual accomplishments, where it's a nishchayatmikam. So that's where, say, I claim I am an engineer, I am a doctor. This is at the intellect level. And manomaya, at the mind level, I am say I love this, I love that, I love all those loves, and the expression of emotional attachments is at the mind level. And there it is mostly sattva guna, because knowledge is involved. So this is tehi tatra guna avastha vedamatrat prutakrutaha. So therefore it has been prutakrutaha, it has been before explained that they are only the guna avastha vedamatrat, guna avastha vedamatrat. It's only the gunas and their positions in terms of the ratio of sattva guna, rajo guna and samo gunas. These are the ones that are really determine the pancha pranas, and for karmendriyas, for jnanendriyas, and manomayam and dhi. So with the linga sariram or the sushma sariram, I am rejecting all other three koshas. Before that we rejected the annamaya kosha. Now we are rejecting the three koshas. I am not that. So this discrimination has to be done in the seat of meditation. It's not that we in the class and then go and forget it. It's not meant for just intellectual understanding, but I had to apply it and recognize that I am not this, and therefore I had to shift my attention by detaching myself with that, and that's important as a part of the study. It's essentially I had to use this knowledge in order to remove association or identification with the gross body, the annamaya kosha. When I'm transacting, when I'm doing with annamaya kosha, then I have to use it. I have to use the body in order to go from one place to other place. So while using it, at the same time there is a detachment at the intellectual vivekena. Intellectually I can dissociate myself. I am using the body, but I am not the body. I am using the car, but I am not the car. So that's easy to say for car, but body is so intensely associated because the body problems become my problem. The pain in the leg and pain here, pain there in the body, back pain and all that people complain. Now back has a pain. Why back has a pain? Because you have a back. That is because everybody who has a back is liable to have back pain. If you don't have a back, obviously you won't have back pain. But with the back pain and all pains, I had to detach myself. This is an object and I am a subject. And object is different because I am conscious of the pain. How do I know it? I have back pain. I know. How do you know? Anything is knower is different from unknown. So that's an object of my knowledge. And therefore, I am different from the known. So I am a knower, the subject, and that's an object for me. So I can detach myself and the object has a problem. So I don't say I have a problem, my body has a problem. You don't have to say I have a problem. But for transactions, you may transact with saying that, says, where is the problem? I don't have a problem, my body has a problem. You don't have to say that. But in your understanding you can say. So someone went to and introducing his wife. He says, this body is married to that body. You don't have to use peculiar language in order to communicate because you are a Vedantin or you are a Panchadashi student. You have to say, I am married to her, she is my wife, and so on. At a transaction level, you can transact it. At the same time, intellectually you have to understand and assimilate this knowledge as I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect. So whenever somebody insults, I cannot be insulted. Only the intellect only can be insulted. So intellect gets to say, this fellow doesn't know he's talking what I was talking about. You can objectify it and ignore it when ignoring is important. When that fellow needs to be taught, you don't have to be a doormat for everybody because you are a Vedantin. You have to follow transactionally, you have to follow what is to be done. At the same time, cognitively you have to understand this is all at the level of individual, at the level of each kosha only. What do you need to be done? Body has a problem, don't say I am not the body, therefore let the body have a problem. I had to use the body for transaction. So if the body has a problem, solve the problem, go to hospital, get the things fixed, if it can be fixed. If it becomes so old and you cannot fix it anymore, say you have to drag it until it drops out. After all, you will go to get a new body afterwards, new dress. Like a dress, you live with the dress until you have the same dress, you have to wear it, and when the dress cannot be used anymore, then you buy a new, you will be given a new, in fact. So when the death is nothing but changing the body, that's what Krishna says in the whole Gita, first in the very second chapter. Anyway, so this is the viveka required to eliminate the subtle body. By elimination of the subtle body, we are eliminating the three koshas. By eliminating the gross body, we eliminate the annamaya kosha. Now one more kosha is left because we have eliminated the gross body and 3 subtle bodies. So there are 5 Panchakosha, 5th one, and that is called Anandamaya Kosha. So in order to eliminate Anandamaya Kosha, which is somewhat little difficult, because I had to find a situation where I am there and Anandamaya Kosha is not there. So here Vidyaranya uses one example, and we will illustrate that example and how this been interpreted by some acharyas, and then see how we can interpret also or how we can eliminate the identification with the Karana Sharira. Karana Sharira is same as Annamaya Kosha. Let's chant Shloka 41. Sushuptyabhane bhanantu Sushuptyabhane bhanantu Samadhavatmanonvayaha Samadhavatmanonvayaha Vyatirekasvatmabhane Sushuptyanavabhasanam together. Sushuptyabhane bhanantu Samadhavatmanonvayaha Vyatirekasvatmabhane Sushuptyanavabhasanam. So samadhavatmanon, samadhau, atmani anvayaha, and sushuptabhane bhanantu. So in this, the sushuptabhane, sushupti abhane. So for not having the sushupti, deep sleep state, or the Anandamaya Kosha, then I have to go to another state and where I can experience myself without the Karana Sharira. So what are the 3 states? Mostly we have only 3 states: waking state, dream state, and deep sleep state. There is no 4th state. In fact, 4th state is the Jnanam only. That's what the Mandukya Upanishad says after discussing with the waking, dream and deep sleep state, and Chaturtham Maniyamte, the so-called 4th state is nothing but Turiyam, which is nothing but the pure Atma. So how do we get that? Here the Vidyaranya uses the word Samadhi, or in the Samadho. In the Samadhi, and Sushuptabhane bhanantu. So Sushuptabhane, so I am there, but in the absence of the Sushupti, absence of the deep sleep state is there in the Samadhi. So I am there in the Samadhi, but there is the deep sleep state is not there. So he is differentiating deep sleep state and Samadhi. And therefore, if I go to a Samadhi state, then I can say I am there, but the deep sleep state is in a Karana Sharira, or the Anandamaya Kosha is not there, therefore I am not the Anandamaya Kosha. That's what has to be done. That's how Anvaya Vyatireka works. So Vyatirekastat, so Atma Bhani, there is the Atma Bhani, so Vyatirekas, Anvaya Vyatireka is Atma Bhani, I am there, but Sushupti Anavabhasanam, so Sushupti Anavabhasanam, so there is no deep sleep state. So I am there in the Samadhi, but deep sleep state is not there. So therefore I can reject I am not the deep sleep state. And what is the Samadhi? Question here, and that's what we need to look at a little bit. And the way different acharyas have explained here, particularly Swami Paramarthananda says, the Samadhi here has to, because you are negating the Karana Sharira, because I am not only negating the Anandamaya Kosha, but is also Sharira Trayam is there in the Sthula Shariram, Sukshma Shariram. That's what we rejected in one stroke. All that consists of the Manomaya, Buddhimaya, Pranamaya, 3 koshas are there which we rejected. Now we are talking about rejection of the Anandamaya Kosha, which is same as Karana Sharira. Karana Sharira is what? Due to Vasanas, and Vasanas due to ignorance. So the cause is the ignorance. So in order to eliminate the state I have to go to a state where there is no ignorance. That's what is samadhi. And therefore, interpretation is I am there and there is no ignorance state. And therefore, I had to be in the Turiyam state, or I had to be in the Ananda, in the pure Sachidananda state. That means in the Jnanam. Only Jnanam is opposite to the, in the Jnanam state there is no ignorance, because ignorance got eliminated. That's how I become Jnani. So Samadhi is interpreted as the Akhandakara Ananda Vritti, where I am constantly conscious of I am pure awareness and not the body and mind. So therefore, from that point, I am not the deep sleep state. Deep sleep state I can be there, working state I am there, and in the dream state I am there. So all states I am going, but I do not belong to any state, and that's essentially what the Mandukya, the seventh mantra says, Nanta pragyam na vahi pragyam no vayata pragyam na pragyan. I am not this, I am not this, I am not this, everything. Says, Shantam Shivam Advaitam Chaturtham Manyam Tesa Atmasa Vigneya. I am pure Shantam, Prashantam, means no agitations. Even though a deep sleep state is also Shantam, there is an ignorance there, but I am not ignorant, because I am Advaitam Chaturtham, that is Prapanchopashamam Shantam. So where the whole world is absorbed to me, but I am beyond the world. And that is the Mandukya, seventh mantra, where the Turiyam, the fourth state of consciousness or fourth state of experience is being discussed. It's not experience, it's the state that I can go to right through the Jnanam. Therefore, the Samadhi is where there is no Ajnanam. Therefore, Ajnanam is the Karana Sharira. So I have to go to a state where there is no this one for Vyatireka, and that's the only state which is opposite to the ignorance. So that seems to be one accepted interpretation of this sloka. So I can use Anvaya Vyatireka. I am there, so the deep sleep state is there. I am there, deep sleep is not there. So Vyatireka, Swa Atmabhani. So I am there, and Sushupti Anavabhasanam. This deep sleep state is not there. Therefore, I am not a deep sleeper. I am not the Karana Sharira. I am not the Anandamaya Kosha. This is one explanation. But the only problem here is that this Panchakosha Vivekena Parabrahma Labhyate. I have to use the Panchakosha Viveka to get to the state. So now we are using the state itself to do the Viveka. So if I already in that state, then I don't need a Panchakosha. I have already done that. So this is a question of catch-22 situation here. So what is Samadhi? So, but when you say it has to be opposite to the Vasana state, so conceptually it is difficult to reach a state without having the knowledge. That's a problem. So Samadhi, people have a different interpretation. Samadhi is some state where I have a thoughtless state, and that is Samadhi. Thoughtless state is not a Samadhi. Thoughtless state, even though I can get in the deep sleep state also, where only one thought is Akhandakara Ajnana Vritti, whereas in the realized state, Akhandakara Jnana Vritti, that's called Aham Brahmasmi Vritti is there, and that is Akhandam, means constantly aham taya spurati hutsvayam. I am. That is spontaneously their awareness of that. That is what is the Jnanam is. That's what Ramana Maharshi also says. So Samadhi is what? Samadhi is not the absence of the thoughts, because absence of the thought is also a knowledge. What is that? I didn't see any thought. I don't know anything. I don't have thought. I am state where there is no thought rises. How do you know there is no thought? I can see what? Absence of the thoughts. So absence of the thought is also object of my knowledge. It's called Anupalabdha Pramana only. Because I don't see a pot there. Therefore there is an absence of the pot. How do you know? I can see. You said you cannot see anything. I see that there is no pot there. I see that I cannot see a pot there. So there I know that part knowledge is there before, which is not there here. So I should have a state where the knowledge of ignorance is not there in that state, and that's only jnanam. But the absence of the thoughts is not the samadhi. Samadhi, that may be different samadhi, and you don't need to do struggle hard to, if you get by drugs also you can reach that state, but that's different from the samadhi. Samatvam, this is equanimity of the intellect. Samadhi is equanimity of the intellect, and that's essentially what, back to the jnanam. But one can reject the deep sleep state by other states, because I am in the waking state, I am in the dream state, I am in the deep sleep state. When I go to the waking state, I am not in the in the deep sleep state. So by coming to waking state, I reject the deep sleep state, and even though subtly the cause is there, the ignorance is there, but I am not that Anandamaya kosha. I am not the case where the folded kosha is there. Now what exactly is the Anandamaya kosha? This is discussed exhaustively in the 11th chapter of Panchadashi. In principle, mentioned that it is the Pranamaya, Annamaya kosha folds into the Pranamaya kosha, and the Pranamaya kosha along with the Annamaya kosha folds into Manomaya kosha, and all the three koshas, the Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, folds into Vijnanamaya kosha, and Vijnanamaya kosha with all the previous koshas folds itself and without expressing itself as the Visishtam. So the Visishtam means a particular intellect, all that particular knowledge is not there. Intellect is particular knowledge. All that Visishta Chaitanyam is not there. Then that folded intellect with all other koshas is the Anandamaya kosha. When intellect is folded, there is no agitations of the subject-object relationships are not there. Therefore, I am free from all the agitations that arise. Therefore, it's called Anandamayam, peaceful mind, and that's why Advaitam also there. So that Advaitam is different from Chaturtham, Advaitam, Chaturtham Manyante. That Advaitam in the seventh mantra of the Mandukya Upanishad, where says Prapanchokosham Shantam Shivam Advaitam Chaturtham Mante. But that is Shantam Shivam. Shivam is auspicious. And that Advaitam is different, where in spite of the Dvaita, it is Advaitam. It's not the absence of Dvaita as in the deep sleep state. Advaita is in spite of it, I am in the state of, that means it is an understanding that all the Dvaita doesn't belong to me. I am pure Satchidananda Swarupam in spite of whatever the thought. So it is not a thoughtless state, because thought is Advaita. Advaita comes into picture. I am there, thought is there. So to get Advaita, I don't want the thoughts, therefore I am thoughtless state. That's not Advaita. Because thoughtless state is also an experience state, and that's also I am aware of the thoughtless state. Therefore, that's also an object of knowledge also. So samadhi is samatvam dhi. That means where equanimity in spite of the thoughts, and that's same as what Paramatmanji says, it is the jnanam only. So in either way, the one has to reject the I am not the, that's it. Only problem is I am waker, dreamer, deep sleep state. When I get up in the morning, I am no more in the deep sleep state. Therefore, I am not that state. That is simple way of rejecting that I am not this, I am not this, I am not. Because I had to use the rejection process, Panchakosha Vivekena. I says I had to recognize that I am the total, and before I recognize, I had to reject it. For rejection only, for realization only, I had to reject it. If I already realize, there is no question of rejection. It's already mission accomplished. So we have to interpret that sloka properly. In any way, we have to see I am not the deep sleep state. Thus, Viveka is required. So Viveka becomes a primary qualification for realization, and that's why sadhana, the Chatushtayam, I need this in order to gain the knowledge itself. So, Viveka, Vairagya, Samadhi, Shat Sampatti and Mumutshutvam. These are the 4 qualifications required for a sadhak. And if I already have reached, then 4 qualifications are already met in order for me to realize. So that's essentially has to be recognized. So let's go to the next sloka. This is a sloka number 42. Yatha munji dishi kaivam, yatha munja dishi kaivam, yatha munja dishi kaivam, atma yuktya samudrutaha, atma yuktya samudrutaha, sariratrayadhiraihi, sariratrayadhiraihi, parabrahmaiva jayate, parabrahmaiva jayate. So yatha munji dishi kaiham. So munjat is a type of grass, very sharp edge. One has to be very careful in handling it, and it is like the darbha grass or something where the sharpness can cut the hands also. So therefore that, and inside that grass there is a subtle thing that one can do, that's called ishika. Ishika is the core of that, and one requires for food or for the medicine, you need that. So in order to separate the skin from the core, it is what yatha yuktya samudrutaha. By carefully I had to do that in order to separate. Same way, the separation of the panchakoshas has to be done carefully, because it's an intellectual separation. Cognitively I have to separate it, as since physically I cannot and I need not also. So ishika yuktya. So by logically, atma samudrutaha. So in the same way, I'd separate the panchakoshas and arrive at I am there, waking state is there, I am there, dream state is there, I am there, deep sleep state is there, I am there when I go to deep sleep state, dream state, I am not a waker, so I am not a waker, I am a dreamer, I am not a dreamer, I am a deep sleeper, I am not a deep sleeper, I am a waker. So I am going in all the 3 states, and I am not, each state is changing. When the state is changing, the changeless entity is I am only. Everything else is keep changing. Therefore, I am changeless entity, that is Anvaya, and Vyatireka is, they are all other things are coming and changing, coming and going, and therefore they are the Bhautikam. So essentially the properties of that is Drusyatvam, Bhautikatvam, the Sagunatvam, Savikaratvam, Agamapayitvam. So the 5 essential qualities of all the objective, all the koshas is Drusyatvam. So I can perceive it, or I can experience it, and therefore I can see the body, I can perceive through the mind, and so on and so forth. So Drusyatvam and Bhautikatvam, because this is made up of either the subtle elements or the gross elements. So therefore Annamaya Kosha, but the gross elements, and the mind is made up of subtle elements. The subtle body is made up of subtle elements. So they are Bhautikatvam. So the first one is the Drusyatvam, Bhautikatvam and Sagunatvam. This is a Visishta. Says body is such and such a tall, and so much weight. All the properties of the body, properties of the mind, properties, all are, the gunas are there coming from the Rajoguna, Tamoguna and Sattva-guna. So therefore Sagunatvam. Savikaratvam, continuously changing as I am going from waking to dream, dream to wake, deeply to wake, and so on. Every day I am going from all states. So states are changing, but I am the same one. So this is essentially Savikaratvam. Agamapayitvam, that keeps coming and going, coming and going. If coming and going, then I am not that. I am that who is always permanently staying on one place, and that is I am. That things are coming and going. I am there in each state, but I am none of them, and therefore that is essentially yukti. Atma yuktya samudrutaha. So samyak drutaha. So essentially I need to have a clear understanding of it by using having samudruta, by separating each one cognitively, yuktya, and Sariratrayam, the Sariratrayam, the three bodies, the gross body, the subtle body, and the causal body, I am none of them while using all of them. It's like using the pot and say there is no pot here. I am using the pot to carry it. Say, this was such an ungrateful person says, I am using the pot and for utility's sake. At the same time, there is no pot here. What is there is only clay. I am using the ring and the bangle. I say there is no really ring and a bangle. What is there is gold only. But gold in the form of a ring is useful. Form and the name and utility, all that are useful, but they are not criteria for reality. This is what discussed in the Mandukya Karika by Gaudapada. So the criteria for reality is not perceptibility and usability and nameability. All those things are not criteria. Only criteria is the Nityatvam, that which remains same all the time, which doesn't undergo any change, and that's essentially Anvaya Vyatireka only. So with that, we have completed essentially the Panchakoshas essentially, and he's going to go and say, so what do I do when I reject this? Now the question is, have I gained the knowledge? Yes, I am not this, I am not this, I am not this. Neti neti vakyam. This is an object, I am a subject. The simple way of rejection is, I am a subject and this is object. Anything that can be objectified cannot be me. Because I am there, without the object cannot be established unless I am there. But I am there without the object also, particular object. So I am a subject and this is an object. And subject-object seems to be occurring all the time in all the three transactions. And that I reject it, therefore using Viveka only. So that is a simple way of doing Panchakosha is, I am a subject and this is an object. So I am different from this. I am a knower and this is a known. Every known is only an object, whether it's a gross object or a subtle object. So all the concepts and everything are all objectifiable entity, and I am not a concept, I am not something to discover, because I am the one who is discoverer. So I have to be there in every state, and that's essentially all this process of the elimination of each one only makes me that I am different from that. Therefore I am a subject and all that are object. And in the process of who am I inquiry, by rejecting what I am not, I am trying to arrive what I am, but I am becoming a smaller. So it is essentially called Tvam Padartha Vichara. Who am I? Is Tvam. So what are you? I am not this, I am not a waker, I am not a dreamer, I am not a deep sleeper, I am not Annamaya Kosha, I am not a Pranamaya Kosha, I am not a Manomaya Kosha, I am not a Vijnanamaya Kosha, I am not Anandamaya Kosha. I am the very conscious existent entity enlivening all the koshas, but different from the koshas. I cannot exist independently by myself without experience. That becomes the pure Satsidananda, and it doesn't have to realize. It's only because realization is only at the transactional level. Therefore, I had to use the transactional equipments that I have in order to realize. So, jnani, ajnani, realization, everything at a vyavaharika level, not at the paramarthika level. Again, in the paramarthika level, it is egameva dvitiyam, one without a second. So, there is no question of realization. So, Brahman doesn't have to realize, and the buddhi cannot realize. So I, identifying buddhi, I have to de-identify buddhi and shift the mind in the direction to claim myself, I am pure Satchidananda. And that is discussed in the next sloka. Para paratmanorevam yuktya sambhavitaikata tattvamasya vakyaisa bhagatyagena lakshate. So para apara atmanorevam. So evam para apara atmanaha. Of these two, para is supreme, apara is lower, that means my lower nature and higher nature, or you can say Paramatma and Jivatma, Atmanoho, they are coming from the same Atma, that means Brahman. Yuktya, by proper logic, Ekata Sambhavida, so oneness is established because oneness of identity of Jivatma Paramatma. How is it established? Tattvamasya adi vakya isa. Scripture established the oneness of the Jiva. Now we are not established by the Panchakosha. Panchakosha tells you I am not this. So only Tvam Padartha, who am I? But I had to also establish that I am, which is not this I rejected, is the totality also. So if I reject it, I become a locality only. Now how can I be totality? For that only the Upanishad or Vedanta becomes a pramana. So I need another knowledge besides the rejection of Panchakosha in order to gain that I am Parabrahma through Mahavakyas. And Mahavakyas are the identity statement of myself with the totality. This part we'll again go through. This is Bhagatyagena Lakshate. So we'll analyze it after we come back. This we stop here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.